So here you are rolling into your next project, installing the front wheel on your XR650L. This is how you do it. The first step in this process is removing the wheel spacer on the left hand side of the bike, wipe it off of any grease, dirt, grime, whatever may be on it, as well as the inside of the seal there. And of course, repack it with some new waterproof grease, whatever your favorite brand is, mine being waterproof Bel-Ray grease, but again, it doesn't really matter, to each their own. Perhaps the biggest point to make is definitely clean off any excess grease you have. You don't want to have that when you're riding, especially off-road. This is a step you guys should all be familiar with. It's simply lubing the long, hard, roughly 8-inch shaft. You're just going to be spreading across the entire surface, quite generously, up and down, and you're just going to make sure you have no dirt on it, you don't want to attract dirt and such, and to make sure you don't get any dirt on it in this process, just, put it in the hole a little bit and set it to the side while we move on to the next step. The next step, of course, is just going to be looking at our brake caliper, where the brake pads are now too close for the wheel to go back in easily. So you're going to take a flathead screwdriver with a cloth over it. You will always see me with a cloth so you don't damage the brake pads, and just kind to push the piston back into the caliper itself. This way you have more space to actually slide the wheel back into the caliper, and it's a little easier for installation's sake. Perhaps the hardest part about this entire installation is definitely getting it all to line up. You have to pay special attention to the rotor getting into the brake pads, as well as the spacer not falling out, and lastly, of course, the speedo cable. You'll see me playing with that right down here. Just kind of lift up the wheel so it can fit into the bracket on the right hand side of the wheel. And then you're going to see me making sure that spacer does not fall out on the clutch lever side of the bike. To make sure it all stays in place, you then insert the axle into a fairly tight hole. It's going to be hard to align, and then you're going to see me pretty much hand threading it in so I don't cross thread it when I go to use the 17mm socket here. I'm going to go ahead and continue to tighten the axle, and you'll see the speedo cable move, and that's when you know it's about time to switch to the torque wrench. You can go ahead and set it to 63 foot-pounds torque, as the factory service manual recommends, and tighten it, and until my case, until it clicks. After you tighten the axle, you're going to go ahead and move back to the nuts. Be careful in tightening these, because the studs are extraordinarily easy to break. I've done it before, that's why I have an extra. So anyways, just go ahead and get them all kind of hand tight. Do the top set first, do the bottom set second. Always do the top first though, because that's just how the factory service manual recommended it. So as you finish snugging this up with your hand, it's alright to go ahead and switch to a ratchet, where then you can turn each one of these, I would say about a quarter of a turn, not much, because again, 9 foot-pounds torque, which is what the factory service manual recommends for these, is not all that much. You don't want to break a stud like I did. It's kind of annoying to deal with, but if you do, vice grips are your best friend. Anyways, as you're concluding this project and you're looking at your bike as it's so beautiful now that you have your wheel reinstalled, as a friendly reminder, definitely press your front brake that is, a few times to make sure your brakes are actually engaging. You don't want to be going down a mountain, you don't have brakes for a hot second. Now that your XR is up and rolling, I would really appreciate it if you went ahead and roll on over to that like and subscribe button, because I do appreciate your support. Anyways, feel free to check out the rest of my channel here or other content on my Instagram, 1TerraBike. Thank you guys again so much.